But this one was more recently, November 2010, and it was on Veterans Day, and Mason was having a Veterans Day commemoration, and I was used to publicize the thing, and it tells in there what's going to be happening and stuff like that, you know, on that day, and so it's got my I've still got my uniform, which I can't wear.
Doesn't fit anymore.
I saw it by its shrunk. And
where did you go to boot camp at?
well, we didn't, and the Army didn't have boot camp. They had basic training, and then in the Navy they had what they called boot camp, but the Army didn't call it boot camp. You know, it was same thing, but they called it basic training.
Where was that at?
I went to Camp Beale, California. I was inducted at Fort Thomas in Kentucky, and went to first place was Camp Beale, California, which was near San Francisco and Sacramento in Northern California.
Long way from home.
Oh yeah, and then after training there, for about a year, they moved us to Camp Bowie, Texas. On the home front, you know, they all had to convert to rationing, and you know, my mother. I've got some of those at home too.
Really?
Ration coupons for sugar and coffee, and so.
What were some of your experiences like there? Do you remember? Do you have any memories of basic training and?
Well, basic training, you know, a lot of it. Well, a lot of it is physical training. You know, we had calisthenics, you know, every morning. I mean, as soon as they call it fall out. You know, when they go through the barracks and say, everybody up, or something, and you got to get up and get dressed and fall out in formation, and then they'll say, okay, we're going to take a 5-mile hike or something like that, or we're going to do calisthenics now or something like that, and because I had football experience and I had a lot of calisthenics in high school and college, and a lot of the fellows had never played sports and stuff like that, and it was our first night in combat, and during the night, you know, everybody was kind of uneasy, and during the night we could hear some voices speaking in German, and you know, what's going to happen? You know, well, the next morning these guys came in with a white flag to surrender.
No.
And they were, during the night, they were talking about, you know, how are we going to surrender? You know, will they shoot us if we move?
That's funny. You guys didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, we could hear voices, but we couldn't.
Remember what the food was like?
Well, the food, if we had eggs, you know what a cookie sheet is like. It's about this big. Well, they would break the eggs on the cookie sheet and slide that in the oven, and they would bake the eggs instead of frying them. And then when they came out, there was a skim on the top, like cellophane or something, like, you know. I mean, it's just the white of the egg, I guess. And so the eggs, yeah, they weren't very, very good, but they were still nourishing. And you know, there wasn't anything fancy food. It was just what they could cook. And basic training, the C rations weren't very, there wasn't a variety, you know, just you always had, like I mentioned, scrambled eggs and ham or something like that. Always, breakfast was always the same, lunch was always the same, dinner was always the same. Very, very little variety. Shoulder patch. We were the Black Cat Division, because 13, and we were activated in California, And the governor of California was at the activation when they had all 12,000 people in all the vehicles, and there's a picture in here of that. And Walt Disney's design patch using this basic design, except it was a ladder with a broken mirror and a black cat on it and all those bad luck symbols, and but it was same colors and everything. This book was published on the 50th anniversary, our 50th anniversary, and on the shoulder patch, the yellow stands for cavalry. You know what cavalry is, horses. Mm-hmm. Well, the armored force was developed from the cavalry, and General Patton was an old cavalry officer, and he was one of the first ones that promoted tanks during World War I. He was an officer in World War I, and he would get in his tank, command tank, with boots and spurs and jodhpurs, you know, like he was in the cavalry. And this was my GI cap, and it was two fingers from your left ear and one finger from your eye. So you wore kind of like that. And when you put it on, you'd measure your hat to see where it was, because you got gigged if you didn't have your hat on right, because it was to mark you as an armored force. And this crown would be standing up. A lot of them, well, see, you can see how I've got it on this picture here. That's the way the armored force wore their caps. So anyway, I brought that on just for fun. But that's part of discipline, you know.
Yeah.
You got to wear your hat a certain way, and
the little things like that.
Yeah, little things like that.
Did your military experience influence how you feel about today's military and the war going on today?
Oh yeah. Well, I think, especially if you're in the military during a war, you develop a strong patriotism. And this shows the route of our division in Europe, in France, and Germany, and Austria.
Were you awarded any medals or any awards? Oh, they're
on here. I got the Bronze Star, Good Conduct, European and Middle Eastern, American Victory Medal. This one is one of the ones I'm most proud of. Is that blue one on the bottom there is a Combat Infantryman's badge. That was I earned the Expert Infantryman badge before we went overseas, and then in combat I got the Combat Infantryman badge and the Bronze Star.